Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R CBS Spoiler Today channel. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up because what we are about to break down today is one of the most jaw-dropping, gut-wrenching moments Genoa City has ever witnessed. And trust me, you do not want to miss a single second of it. Tonight in Genoa City, the impossible happened. Phyllis Summers, one of the most iconic, formidable, and fiercely resilient characters this show has ever given us, was arrested in handcuffs in public. Outside crimson lights of all places, with the whole world watching, and the charge aggravated assault, the alleged victim, Diane Jenkins. Diane was found unconscious at the Grand Phoenix and rushed to the hospital in critical condition. And Phyllis is now sitting in a police station while her daughter Summer is completely falling apart outside. The ripple effects of this one night are going to be felt across every single storyline in Genoa City for weeks. Maybe months to come. Alliances are going to shift, loyalties are going to be tested, and the truth, whatever it actually is going to hurt everyone it touches. This is not just another scandal. This is the moment that changes everything. Picture this scene in your mind. The evening air in Genoa City carries that familiar tension that always seems to settle over the city when something big is about to happen. Outside crimson lights, the coffee shop that has been the backdrop for so many pivotal moments in this town's history, the red and blue lights of police cruisers begin cutting through the haze of the evening, casting an almost surreal flickering glow across the faces of everyone gathered outside. And what they see stops them cold. Phyllis Summers, fierce, unbreakable, legendary Phyllis, is being escorted out of that building in handcuffs. Let that sink in for a moment. Phyllis Summers, the woman who has survived more betrayals, scandals, and enemies than anyone else in this city's long dramatic history. The woman who always finds a way out, and yet here she is, wrists bound, surrounded by officers being walked toward a squad car like a common criminal. The murmurs in the crowd start as a ripple and almost immediately swell into a full wave of shock and disbelief. People are whispering, pointing, pulling out their phones. Nobody can process what they are seeing. Nobody, because this is Phyllis, and yet her expression is this complicated, layered mask of defiance mixed with something else entirely. Something deeper, something almost like resignation. And that second emotion, that quiet resignation beneath all the bravado, is what makes this moment truly terrifying. Because Phyllis Summers does not resign herself to anything unless she already knows the walls are closing in. Her eyes scan the crowd quickly, calculating even in this moment, and when they land on one face she both desperately needed and absolutely dread, seeing Summer, her daughter, standing at the edge of all this chaos with her breath caught somewhere between her chest and her throat, her entire world visibly crumbling in real time. I can't even imagine what that felt like to see your mother, the person who has been your constant complicated anchor your entire life, being taken away like this. Summer pushes through the crowd, ignoring every hand that tries to hold her back, every concerned voice calling her name. She has tunnel vision, nothing else exists in this moment except her mother and the impossible image in front of her. Mom? She manages to choke out, her voice barely holding together. What is this? What's going on? And you can hear everything in that voice, the panic, the desperation, the heartbreak, the desperate need for someone to tell her this is all a terrible misunderstanding. Phyllis pulls herself together in that moment, summoning every 1 ounce of that trademark strength she has built her reputation on. She straightens up despite the cold steel of the handcuffs biting into her wrists and looks her daughter in the eyes. Summer, listen to me, she says, her voice steady and low, like she's trying to control the delivery of something devastating to protect Summer from the worst of the impact. It's not what it looks like, but even as those words leave her mouth, there is a crack, a flicker in her eyes, a hairline fracture in the armor that only Summer is close enough to see. And that crack, tiny as it is, shatters something inside Summer completely. Not what it looks like, Summer echoes, and now her voice is rising, the panic bleeding through. Tears are already spilling down her cheeks before she can stop them. "You are being arrested, Mom. They're saying you committed a crime. What did you do?" That question hangs in the air between them like something physical, heavy, unavoidable, and for just a split second, everything seems to genuinely pause. The sirens fade into the background. The whispers quiet down, the officers freeze as if the entire universe is leaning in, waiting for Phyllis to answer. But she doesn't, not directly. She glances away. Her jaw tightens and the silence that follows is louder than any confession could ever be. Imagine being Summer in that moment. Imagine asking your mother point blank if she committed a crime and watching her look away without a single word of denial. That silence does not come from confusion, it does not come from shock, it comes from knowledge, and Summer feels that in her bones. The lead detective steps forward, his voice firm but not without a thread of compassion. "Ma'am, we need to go." He nods to the officer flanking Phyllis and they guide her gently but unmistakably toward the waiting squad car. The finality of that movement hits Summer like a physical blow to the chest. "No!" she cries, rushing forward again, pushing against the invisible barrier of reality. "You can't just take her like this. She didn't do anything." But even as she screams it, her voice betrays her. It cracks because even Summer, in that raw and brutal moment, isn't entirely sure she believes what she's saying. The weight of that accusation, the whispers of something violent, something irreversible, is already pressing down on her with a suffocating force. Phyllis pauses just before being placed into the car and turns back one final time. Her eyes lock with Summer's across the space between them, and for one suspended agonizing moment, the rest of the world completely falls away. "I love you," she says softly. Just 3 words, but they carry the weight of everything. Every fight, every sacrifice, every complicated chapter of their relationship. No matter what you hear, no matter what happens, remember that. And then she's gone. The door slams shut with a hollow, echoing finality that seems to reverberate through Summer's entire being like a bell that cannot be unrung. The car pulls away and Summer stands there on the sidewalk, completely rooted to the spot, watching the tail lights disappear into the dark as her entire world collapses inward around her. Her knees buckle. She sinks to the ground, sobs tear through her in waves, each one harder than the last, as the emotional dam she had been desperately holding together finally breaks wide open. "This can't be happening," she whispers over and over into the night air. "This isn't real." Kyle is there immediately, wrapping his arms around her, holding her together even as he processes his own shock. Hey, I've got you," he murmurs against her hair. "We're going to figure this out, okay? There has to be an explanation." But Summer shakes her head. She's clutching onto him like he's the only solid thing left in a world that has suddenly gone completely liquid beneath her feet. "You didn't see her," she sobs. "The way she looked, she knows something. She's hiding something," and that realization, the possibility that her mother might actually be guilty, hits her harder than anything else has all night. Meanwhile, across town, the news is spreading with that particular velocity that only small cities and back scandals can generate. Phones are buzzing, messages are flying, and within minutes, every person who matters in Genoa City knows that Phyllis Summers has been arrested for a brutal crime. Old enemies are quietly smirking behind closed doors. Long-time friends are struggling to reconcile this news with the women they thought they knew. And somewhere in the shadows, and there were always shadows in the city, there are people who already know exactly what happened, and they are counting on the truth staying buried. Back at the scene, Summer's sobs eventually quiet, and what replaces them is somehow worse. A cold, steely resolve that settles across her features like armor being strapped on piece by piece. She pulls back from Kyle just enough to meet his eyes. "I'm not going to just sit here and let them take her down," she says, her voice shaky but iron underneath. "If she's innocent, I will prove it. And if she's not," she hesitates, those words catching in her throat like something she can't physically force out. "Then I need to know why." The drive to the police station feels like it takes a lifetime. Every red light is an unbearable delay. Every second stretches into what feels like minutes. Summer stares out the car window, her mind cycling through every possible explanation. A setup, a misunderstanding, someone with a grudge, and enough power to make it stick. Phyllis has enemies, more enemies than most people have friends. It wouldn't be the first time someone had tried to use the system against her. But no matter how many alternative explanations Summer constructs in her head, the image of her mother's eyes, that silent, knowing, resigned look, keeps breaking through and dismantling every fragile theory she builds. When they arrive at the station, the harsh fluorescent lights strips away any remaining comfort and makes everything brutally, undeniably real. Summer barely waits for the car to stop before she is rushing inside. The desk officer looks up and immediately reads the urgency on her face. "I need to see Phyllis Summers," she says, her voice trembling but firm. She was just brought in. The officer checks his computer. No visitors yet. She is still being processed. Summer's heart drops, but she does not back down. She presses for information, and eventually the officer gives her something she was not prepared for. Aggravated assault, possibly more depending on how the victim's condition develops. Victim. The word hits Summer like ice water. She backs away slightly, the distance doing nothing to soften the blow. Aggravated assault is not a misunderstanding. That is not a minor accusation someone can laugh off over coffee. That is serious. That is violent. And what makes it so much worse is that Phyllis, standing there in those handcuffs, never once said the words, "I didn't do this." Then Nick arrives, and his face tells Summer everything she needs to know before he even opens his mouth. He pulls her into a tight embrace as she breaks down all over again, and then carefully, with the measured weight of something, choosing every word deliberately, he tells her what he knows. There was an incident at the Grand Phoenix earlier that evening. Phyllis was there and so was Diane. The name lands like a detonation. Diane Jenkins was found unconscious. She's in the hospital, and it doesn't look good. Summer stands there feeling the floor tilt beneath her as the full scope of what this means begins to unfold in her mind. Kyle stiffens beside her, because Diane is his mother, and suddenly this situation, already devastating, becomes something most unbearable. Two families, one night, and a truth that nobody in that room is remotely ready to face. What makes this storyline so extraordinarily compelling is not just the drama of the arrest itself. It is the way every single character in Genoa City is now tethered to this moment, whether they want to be or not. Summer is caught in an impossible position, suspended between her fierce, unconditional love for her mother and the growing, undeniable weight of evidence that Phyllis may have genuinely crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. Kyle is standing in a mirror image of that same impossible position because his mother is the one in a hospital bed. These two people who love each other are now on opposite sides of the same catastrophe, and the pressure that puts on their relationship is going to be immense. And then there is Phyllis herself. Think about what that silence truly means. A woman with Phyllis Summers' instincts, her survival skills, her decades of experience navigating crisis after crisis, a woman like that does not go silent by accident. She is making a choice, and the choice to say nothing rather than deny the accusations outright is one of the most telling moments we have seen from her character in years. It suggests she is not just protecting herself, it suggests she is protecting something or someone else, and that possibility opens up an entirely different dimension of the story that is only just beginning to reveal itself. The Grand Phoenix connection matters too. That is Phyllis' domain, her territory, the place where she has always had some measure of control and advantage. Whatever happened there was not random. This was not a chance encounter that spiraled out of control. This was something that had been building through years of rivalry, resentment, uneasy truces, and simmering tensions, and it finally boiled over into something irreversible, and now the entire city is going to have to reckon with the fallout. In my opinion, Phyllis isn't acting like someone who's been falsely accused. She's acting like someone who's already made peace with the consequences. and that should worry everyone. But then again, in places like Genoa City, the truth is never simple, and the most obvious story is usually the most dangerous one to believe. So now the real question begins. Not what happened, but why it happened, and who benefits from the chaos that's about to unfold. Could Phyllis be protecting someone even at the cost of losing her own daughter, or is this the one time she truly went too far and there is no coming back? And what about Summer? How long can she fight for her mother before the truth forces her to choose between loyalty and reality? Here's my prediction: this isn't just about Phyllis and Diane. This is going to pull in secrets from the past. Alliances will shift, and someone unexpected will rise with the power to destroy everything. And the scariest part, we haven't even seen the real damage yet, because when the truth finally surfaces, it won't just hurt, it will change how everyone sees each other forever. So tell me, do you believe Phyllis is hiding the truth or protecting it? And if the truth comes out, will Summer still stand by her or walk away for good? Stay close, because the next move in this story won't just shock you, it will redefine everything you thought you knew. And if you are not already subscribed to Y&R CBS Spoiler today, now is absolutely the time. Hit the subscribe button, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and give this video a thumbs up so we know you want more. We will see you in the next one.